I saw a shift in the energy landscape.
You are as strong as the team you have around you.
I strive myself on having a diverse team. I need to make sure that I'm coaching and building based on that individual's characteristics.
Is there an achievement that means so much to you, and why?
I saw an opportunity. How can I leverage this opportunity to be part of that leading wave?
Hello everyone, and welcome to Masters of Green MENA. In this podcast, we meet some of the people who are shaping the renewable energy industry around the MENA region. I am your host, Walid Al-Hallaj, and today we have Jeremy Crane, founder and CEO of Yellow Door Energy. Welcome, Jeremy. I'm very happy to be sitting here with you. I wanted to talk to you for quite a while, and this is a very good opportunity for us to have a little bit of a chat. So we are very happy to have you.
Well, Walid, I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to catch up with you and hopefully discuss some interesting subjects.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think a lot of people would like to know what's beyond the professional, what's beyond the person that you look at Yellow Door, you see Jeremy. And people would like to meet Jeremy without the Yellow Door. And this is why we would like to talk a little bit with you. So if we go back way before titles, organizations, a company that's operational in multiple regions, I would like to know about the person who started this journey, the person and the professional. But tell us a little bit about Jeremy starting Yellow Door.
Well, let me see. I think that there's a couple of things maybe that would be interesting. I think first and foremost, I am highly motivated by interesting and new things, be it technical, be it commercial structures, businesses, and so that's one element. The other is I like building teams. I like creating constructive organizations. So when 10 years ago, more than that now, I saw a shift in the energy landscape for the Middle East towards one that was not only large central generation, but also distributed generation. I saw an opportunity. And so for me, it was, how can I leverage this opportunity to build something for the future, to be part of that leading wave. And so that's really where I come at it, is that creativity and that team element. And that's what I get passionate about still today.
But if we look at Jeremy back then and Jeremy today, of course, with all the growth, experience, and so on, how would you compare the two Jeremys? What happened? What changed throughout the years, in your opinion?
Oh gosh, a lot's changed. I mean,
more gray hair, I think.
More gray hair, more children. Life evolves a lot in a decade. But look, I think on the professional front, I think we all go through a learning journey, and certainly building a company from a startup to a scale up to a solid growth business. We've been through many iterations of what's needed from us to contribute and to drive a business. I think 10 years ago, I needed to be very much a visionary. I needed to motivate people who are coming to our team about a vision about where we were going to go. And that was not something that included a lot of structure. It wasn't something that had very definitive milestones laid out. Today, the role I have still has that vision aspect, but that's been fairly clearly laid out for a long time. And so the amount of time and attention on that has decreased. The amount of focus that I need to put onto optimizing how the business works, onto measuring and holding people accountable in terms of communication with stakeholders. Those are the areas that have taken over a lot more of my time today than where I started out.
Yeah. If I ask you, what is the skill that is most important that you learned throughout the past 10 years? And what was the skill that was the hardest, especially now that your decisions hold much more weight, things can, one decision can have a major impact in the company.
You're absolutely true. And I think that's one of the things that you sometimes take for granted, right? That your ability to have an impact through decision in a large organization is much more significant. I think one of the most critical lessons I learned a few years ago was that I need to moderate my creativity, because always coming up with new ideas and driving the frontiers distracts your team from where they need to get to. And so one of the things that I've done is I now have a notepad and I'm write down my new ideas. I also have one or two people I can talk to about my ideas, because it's important for my sanity. And I think in the long term for the company's growth to have that creativity is still there, but it can't be in the middle of the business disrupting what needs to take place day by day.
What about the skill that took you the longest to learn, if I may ask?
Well, look, I think everybody has their own leadership style. And for anybody that knows me, it's clear that I'm the sort of person that likes to be out front, leading by example. I never hesitate to roll up my sleeves and get things done. But that's not always the type of leader that a business needs. In order to bring up a team that's going to continue to grow with you, you need to make sure that you're pushing down responsibilities. And if you're always diving in and rolling up your sleeves, you're not giving other people opportunities to grow. So I would say that you could call it delegation, but I would say it's much more than just delegation. It is coaching and supporting people to take on new responsibilities so that they can take things off your desk in a constructive way. That's something which I'm still working on today, because every day that I grow, I need people to grow with me.
That's true. That's true. I think out of even personal experience, you are as strong as the team you have around you, basically. It's so some people, I don't think they give this topic that much of focus. What's the best way to build people around you, in your opinion?
Wow. Look, I don't think there's a one size that fits all type of approach. I think that we need to identify the way that a team member is best takes feedback, best takes coaching, and try to make sure that when you're communicating to them, you communicate in a way that they can absorb that. I'm sure you've had this experience where you have certain team members that are sensitive to feedback. And so you have to find a way to deliver it where it is aspirational for that person to grow. There's other people that crave feedback every day, and it actually becomes a little bit exhausting as their manager to continually do that. So balancing that style of the individual and how you help them grow is really very individualistic. And I think as a leader, as an effective leader, who I strive myself on having a diverse team, pride myself on having a diverse team, I need to make sure that I'm coaching and building based on that individual's characteristics.
That's definitely not something easy to do. I can imagine. Well, if we look back at the past 10 years or a little bit more, as you mentioned, beyond numbers, beyond megawatts, beyond pipeline, beyond carbon credits, is there an achievement that means so much to you, and why beyond that?
Look, I think there's I would actually say that there are specific projects that stand out in my mind as achievements, specific milestones. I think for me, probably the first major milestone was when we raised our first institutional funding round in early 2019. That was a major transition. We went from seed capital and a bunch of fantastic venture investors who'd backed me to long-term institutional money that had very different requirements. They expected different things, and the ability to raise that capital, bring it into my baby, that was something I'm still proud of today. Obviously, we've done another institutional round since then, but the first one's always the one that's most interesting.
Yeah, and it changes the language of the company completely, I would imagine.
100%. It absolutely did, and that was very exciting. There's one project that also still stands out for me, and it's on a personal note. It's the solar panels we put on the school of where my kids go.
Oh, really?
And I say that not because it was particularly special in any technical aspect, but for me, renewables is a passion because I feel that I'm having a positive impact on the world. And when I see that in a school environment, especially a school where my kids go, and I know every time I take them there that school has a lower carbon footprint, that's good for me. When I hear the feedback from them and from the teachers and administration about that, and the passion it drives for kids to learn about renewables, that's great for me. So two things that are very two minor things that are part of the big picture that are very impactful.
Yeah, I can imagine also your kids being proud about that project in front of their friends and colleagues, and well, that definitely solar has that ability to connect emotionally because it changes things. Sometimes one project can change somebody's life, or number one, it builds jobs. Number two, it makes everything cleaner. Number three, it builds communities, even if you go outside cities. So definitely we have a very romantic business, if I may say.
We do, and actually, so we've had the great fortune of doing two CSR projects. One in Jordan, town of Zarqa.
It's where I was born, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, there's now a community center that has solar power on it. So we donated that project, and it was part of a program that we've since repeated in South Africa, where we trained a bunch of individuals in that community on how to build a solar project, how to maintain a solar project. We put it in, they executed on it, and now the community center has cheap power. We've got a bunch of people who've learned a trade, and hopefully they've gone on to find jobs. We've made sure that some of them have found jobs, so that's fantastic. We did the same thing in South Africa, and I was just down there in December helping inaugurate that. It was on a rooftop of a mental health institute in a poorer community, and the team, the community members that participated in the construction, built those skills, were so passionate about it. It was fantastic to see.
Can imagine building something for your own. It's always different, always hits differently. Well, growing up as a leader and with the increase of responsibilities, I am sure there are certain habits, perspectives, maybe a book or someone you followed. Can you tell us what helped you maintain your productivity and grow as your business grew?
Well, that's interesting. I think, I had the chairman of Yellow Door a couple of years ago was somebody that used a very different leadership style to me. And one of the things that I have done historically is when I like to give people feedback, and I like to give it to them as quickly as possible. And I consider that a bit of a gift. But I didn't do it in front of others. So if something happened in a meeting, immediately after the meeting, hey, can you stay back? And this one individual would find opportunities to give feedback on the moment in the meeting. And I found it personally quite disruptive, but on reflection and discussion with this person on that particular activity, I learned that they actually used it as a mechanism for coaching, because when you provide that feedback in the moment, you position yourself amongst the team in a way that can be supportive to your position. Certainly is not a way to prevent people from speaking up, but it's a way to make sure that they are prepared and ready, and that everybody brings their, let me say, A game, their best game to a situation. So I thought that was one thing that I've learned more recently, is that feedback can be something that is useful in a group, not always something that needs to be done in private.
Any special books or like certain businessman that you look up to, or?
There's an individual, his name's David Sedgwick, who is Canadian. I worked with him for a little while, decade ago, more than that, 2 decades almost, that I learned a lot about managing shareholder interests and building relationships. And one of the things that David entrained in me was very important today is that your shareholders are your lifeline, and you have to treat them with the most respect of anybody in your ecosystem, and that whatever happens, they need to be protected and supported, because they're going to be, if not, they're not going to be there behind you. And that really translates into the second, which is relationships are super important. And we all know in the Middle East that business is relationships. But sometimes people forget that, even here. And I always strive now to ensure that any relationships I have, whether I have strong respect for the other person or not, I still want to make sure that I leave with at least a neutral, hopefully positive perspective with that person, because you never know when the small world is going to come back around to you.
Especially in our industry, it's too small, things change very quickly. Yeah, I agree. Well, looking ahead, what would you like to be left out of Jeremy or Yellow Door on the industry, on your teammates? What is something that you would like to leave?
Oh, well, I think that for me, one of the characteristics of me is that having a positive impact in the world around me is really fundamental to everything I do, from family to work and everything else. So if I wasn't here anymore ever in Yellow Door, what I would hope is that the company, the organization, the people, the broader ecosystem of the renewable energy space would look to what I'd done in a positive way and see that I moved the industry, moved, the individual forward, and they'd accomplished more than they could have otherwise. If I can leave that, if I can make people think that I've moved the industry forward, I'll be satisfied.
That's great. That's great. Well, definitely, Yellow definitely helped in the CNI sector. Definitely. It was a role model. And I think every company that starts now looks up to the experience and story of Yellow, definitely. Type, before we end, this has been amazing. The business now is growing. Energy storage is coming in. It's becoming vital. I think solar and storage are going to be best friends very soon. We're not going to hear one without the other. Maybe green hydrogen, electrical vehicles, all these industries that revolve around sustainability. There is going to be a lot of individuals who want to go in and build a business in that sector. Do you have an advice?
Wow. Look, I think there are so many people who are looking to build businesses and who love renewables. And so I think that's fantastic. I would say that when I look at the C&I space today, I see an enormously crowded market. And what I've experienced over the years is that the market comes and goes. You have waves of high number of competitors, consolidation, and where we go like that. I think timing is really important. So depending on what you're trying to do today, what part of the ecosystem you are trying to get into, try to find the right timing. I think today's a great time to be a panel manufacturer. Prices have, pushed up by 30%. A year ago, it was not. So that timing. Today is maybe not a great time to be entering the C&I space when you've got 5 private equity groups all fighting for a piece of the pie. So I think about the timing and make sure that you have a place in ecosystem which is, I won't say a blue ocean, but at least not a red ocean. I think that how you structure and set up your business is really important. Having partners that you can rely on is very, very vital. People you trust, people that complement your skill set. Having the capital to get through to revenue generation, positive profit, also very, very important. And if you don't have that on day one, that's fine. But make sure by, before your cookie jar gets emptied, you've got a route to get that. So yeah, a couple of ideas.
Well, that's great. Well, we want the business to grow. We want to see more successful stories. Of course, Yellow has, I'm sure, paved the way for a lot of people to maybe copy, learn from, and hopefully we will see a lot of competent, well-established companies in the region growing the industry further and further. Thank you very much for your time. It was brilliant. I would love to do that more often. And it's always a pleasure to meet brilliant minds in this industry. Thank you very much for your time as well. And we look forward for you in the next episode. Shukran.